tired of black mothers having to be black motherfucking daddies too.
So this one hopes to be a piece for all ages. This one man once told me that a child should perform a piece of his life upon small stages with a large mic. Recharge the light so his eyes can be seen until his sermon is done. So here's the scene. This is me turning one, unlearning fun cause this shit's too serious. Locked behind the bars of my crib, going delirious, trying to spread news to the rest of the kids that are just as curious. I remember when I carried souls that were furious, but not anymore. See, now I see through the eyes of a vision of a baby just fiending to grow. Maybe this is the last seed I'm needing to sow so I can be added to the Sambo show. Wait for pennies to be thrown, stuff each one in my diaper so I'll have enough sense by the time I'm grown and there's no more poetry ciphers. I'm decrepit and all alone. At least my head could be sold for substantial amounts of gold. But instead, this one be for my soul. And this one be about losing control and diarrhea of the tongue, cause in this one I'm free and young enough to miss the marches, the revolutions of ingrained pain that start this. Because of which I've been granted this reign to collaborate with any race of artists without that person's face being disregarded, that young. But this old like I seen the days when hip-hop had soul. And I mean in ways when stories of them same revolutions are told, because they're that close to me. I'm old enough to know the way America's supposed to be. So now I feel ghosts watch closely as I pray hard in a graveyard, mostly over the scattered bones of Seminoles and Cherokees, so much so that now my shadow needs therapy. To wear the wings of this country's liberty, but I'm old enough to know that it's never shown me much chivalry. So I've had to become a prophet of the X generation, sort of glad that I do not fit the next generation, where the youth seems to be disconnected from their roots and their hopes, and I'm old enough to have been affected when the poet Pinheiro shoots up with dope. Sinks into obscurity and question why God gave such a man such a gift to think with such purity. I'm old enough to mourn his death. Maybe I was only born to continue to breathe his breath. Maybe I was the pen in the first half of his name to continue to write the words he left, plug them so deep into the brain of all those right-winged until the whole Republican government is deaf. And there's finally calm across the land. This one I've tattooed to the palm of my hand. So when I shake that of another man, without him revealing these feelings, he'll still understand how this one's the way I speak when no one's around. And this one's the day of the week when a man's girl leaves town and every day becomes a Saturday. Till she shows her face again and the day becomes Sunday then. The one day when he writes poems all day to praise her, saves an hour to go to church and practice homes that raise her. Will come to preach and teach her the things she needs to change. This one I wrote so hard for black people that my fingers began to bleed on the page. So if I shall bleed to my doom before my carcass is carried out of this room, I'd ask that I be cremated. Take my last ash and tape it to the last page I created. Cliche that you can judge this cover by my look finally makes sense today. And in part, this one must be for Marvin Gaye, or at least his heart. See, I bet when the autopsy was complete in its right ventricle, the doctors found my heart, and it has left my 2 feet, because I still talk for him, and I still walk for him, and I'm still calm from the sound of his very first hymn, and I'm from the South, so this shit's for mom and them. Apology in advance for all the future men that will alter my baby sister's plans. See, this one admits that I've been that same man at some point or the other, and this one's for my brother. There's far too many of you crying. So in this one, I'm writing words that are crying for all of these previous words that are dying, and before they even begin to bleed, my future ones will already begin to. So when my page is read, it's impossible to read. It'll be for my eyes only. This one explains how in the midst of this big-ass crowd of my own people, I'm still lonely. But please, no self-pity, because in this one, I felt more witty. See, in this one, I finally figured how to shrink my nigga and make my Negro bigger. This one's for every poet, every quote ever wrote that never got the chance to be delivered. In this one, I figure I'm speaking for school kids told to close their mouth when they're just educating their peers. And I figure in this one, I'm leaking from open bruises, trying to steer the cold air from the south to evaporate these tears. This one's for the years old to Yusef Hawkins. And this one explains why I talk of Tupac so often. This one I've stuffed into the corners of his coffin so that every night he can recite to any other young life that has been slaughtered. This one's for deep dreams that drown in shallow waters. This one's for the screams of mothers that still suffer from being hollow daughters. Rear household was completely out of order, so now as I wait for her and retake her order, she says she'll still have a house specialty of her own, but this one's just a poem scrounged from the grounds of my mouth, and a poem ain't a house, and a house ain't necessarily a poem unless it also houses this poem. Maybe deep within his floorboard, like Celia in the color purple, thanking the Lord for lost letters found. So maybe if I make it to the end of this one, she can get that home of her own somehow. This one's for the sweat above my brow that I accumulated while building this house. And this one's for the drought when I'm out of ink and there's writer's famish. When the shouts are all out, I'm all out of thinking, the thoughts seem to vanish. But this shit has managed to remain heavy enough to weigh the cavity of my chest down. And this one, I would hope that the words are so sweet that if listeners could taste them, in their mouths, dentists would find cavities all around. This one has traveled international grounds and walked the gravel of local towns, shopped at every stop till every project was given back to the products. Ghetto crops were pulled to its very top and blind eyes were open to the skies, and every kind of guy is hoping he die having something valuable to relate. In this one, I'll cherish every moment I have until our last day. So if my curtain closed before the end of this child's play, know that in this one, I was buried 6 feet underneath all the shit I never got to say.